Hi, my name is Johnnie. I was a Philadelphia fireman first and then became a paramedic. And took approximately 6 months to a year to become a paramedic. During my first year, retrospectively, I delivered 45 babies, a set of twins, babies with multiple anomalies and multiple presentations, arms coming first, legs, butt, everything. Things that we're trained for, but we rarely saw. And so it was during my first year as a medic, we got dispatched to a woman's health center. It was in the daytime, around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I can remember really vividly details in this one specifically. And as I walked in the door, we were called, it was 911, so we had lights and sirens blaring. And we got there, finally a nurse came out and said, hurry, C3, go to C3 real quick. So we opened the door, we went back to C3, and we had just walked in the door, and another nurse came running up and she said, listen, how long have you been here? Hurry, please take her out now. So this wasn't adding up too comfortably. Something was wrong, something was amiss. But there were questions we had to know, such as, what are we here for? All we were dispatched with was the dispatcher said, you're going for a female bleeding. That could be bleeding anywhere. So now the third nurse came in, and she was beside herself with anger and emotions I really didn't see before, but she was very, very startled and stuttering her words. And she said, why haven't you left yet? I said, listen, man, we have to know some things. We have to know the age of the patient. Where is she bleeding from, vaginally, rectally? What was your last pressure? Sequentially, we want to know if she's going down, how rapidly. It would determine what kind of bore angiocath we would use, what kind of fluid we would replace there. And she stormed out. Next, as we were taking care of the young lady there, she was conscious, staring, relatively pale. We started getting pressure. Her pressure was 68 palp. You couldn't get a bottom number because it was so low. So we're starting the IV. The doctor came in and he was beside himself also, and he started yelling, didn't I tell you I'm going to have your badges? I said, okay, calm down, doc. He stormed out. Now something is obviously wrong with this situation. As we're getting ready to move, the door opened up and a kind-hearted nurse with soft eyes came in, and she said, fellas, what do you want to know? How can I help? She had a whole different demeanor. But she continued and she said, what do you want to know? And I said, well, okay, what's the pressure? What is she exactly here for? She said, well, this young lady, her name is Maria, and she told us that she's 18 years old, 5 months pregnant, and she doesn't want this baby, this fetus in her anymore. She wants it out. So we started the procedure, and we ran into some troubles. And I said, what do you mean some troubles? And she said, well, could you just leave and go to the hospital? I said, man, come on, you got this far. Give us the rest. What's going on? And she said, well, we started a D&C, and we ran into some problems. I said, what kind of problems? And she said, well, and she's starting to sweat now, and I'm starting to really question what's going on here. And she said, well, we normally, when you have somebody under 5 months, we don't consider that viable. So what we'll do is we'll inject into the central venous system, we'll inject saline and kill that which is alive, the fetus. I said, okay. So how did you proceed from there? She said, well, then we go in and we use that. And she pointed to the wall, and there was looked like an offset ratchet wrench around this long with a handle at the bottom going transversely. And at the top it was like a hook with teeth on it, like a ratchet wrench would have, and a blade in the center of it. And she said, well, we introduce that into the vaginal opening and we remove any presenting part. And I said, yeah. And she said, so we did get one part, and then we proceeded to get one more part. And I'm saying, so what's the main issue? What's the problem? And she said, well, Maria turned out to be 13 years old. She wasn't 19 years old. And Maria was 1 to 2 days over her 9-month gestation period. I said, how did that affect it? She said, well, when they're 5 months or under, we terminate anything that's living. And believing she was 5 months, we proceeded to attempt to terminate. We were unsuccessful. So thinking that she's only 5 months, we proceeded without the intervention of the saline. And I said, and all of a sudden I felt everything started to click. And I said, so you use that tool and you introduced that into the vaginal opening, and you went as far as you could until you found a presenting part. And she said, yeah. And you cut that part off. She said, yeah, you cut it off. And then what? And she said, then we manipulated the fetus and we took another part. And my eyes happened to look to the side in a basin. And in the basin, there was a little leg and a little arm. And little tiny fingers that were curled on the edge of the basin. And I said, so you didn't use saline on this one? She said, no, ma'am, it's a baby. You took its leg off. It was alive. And it felt pain. And you went in and you took the arm off, and it still felt pain. What kind of pain do you think that was? Here's the baby in the most safe place that it will ever experience, in the mother's womb. The first pain it felt wasn't a slap on its rear end. The first pain was his leg being severed, followed by its arm. I said, so now your final comment on this, will I give your transfer information to the doctor? In the meantime, my pressure was through the ceiling with anger, and the word maudlin, the definition of that is mixed emotions, and I don't think you can get a more maudlin response from a medic or an EMT or fireman. So anyway, I said, so what's your final issue here? And she's medically speaking, and she says, well, we were unable to complete the procedure. I said, what does that mean? About blood loss? And she said, no, we can't get the head out. The head is still stuck. So with that, I guess I just kicked into automatic mode. And I probably was a little rough in placing 13-year-old child on the bed, but it was just too much to really bear. And we got to the hospital somehow. Time just stood still. I really don't even remember the ride too much. I was just buried my face in the charting at hand. We got to the hospital. I had a form I was filling out, sort of a table like this. I was filling out the form, and my shoulders were my whole body was shaking. And I was there for 3 to 4 minutes writing this form out. And all of a sudden I felt this. It felt like the hand of the Lord, but it was an old nurse who was there named Maggie. She slipped her arm across my shoulders like this and patted me. And she said, "Never get used to this, son. Never get used to it." And with that, I felt all my emotions just sucked right out of me and into her arm. And I was okay. Every medic, every fireman, every EMT, and every police officer has that one job that sticks in your craw and nothing can make it go away. And that was mine.